going to be talking about the time that I ran from the cops for 3 hours. What a great way to start your morning. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Lita. Make sure to go watch the very first video that I posted. It will be linked down below. Gives you a little bit about me and what I'm doing here. And if you're not new, hi, I'm glad you came back. So today we're gonna be doing an STT. We're gonna tell a story and do a task. And our task today will be laundry. We are folding some laundry today while I go ahead and tell you a story. Now, before we go ahead and start, I wanna let you guys know I had surgery July 29th and I'm still recovering. So, it's the reason why we are folding laundry today instead of cooking a nice meal on a Sunday night, you know? You don't want to fold laundry on a Sunday night. You want to make something nice. Cook some food on a Sunday night. But I can't stand. I can't walk. I can't do anything. I had surgery and I'm still recovering. I'm only on week 2. Love my life. But with that being said, go ahead and grab that basket that's been chilling on the corner of your room or that pile of clothes that's keeping you on one side of the bed. Yes, I know. Trust me, I know. We've all been there. We've all have been there. I want to go ahead and let you guys know what story we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the time that I ran from the cops for 3 hours. Real quick though, before we start, I want to let you guys know I was 15, 16 years old when this happened, okay? So don't judge me. I don't recommend it. Don't do it. If you're under 18 years old, it's not fun. Don't run from the cops. Don't do things that you're not supposed to, especially if you think you're gonna get caught. With that being said, let's get into it. All right, now that you got your clothes ready, all right. So we're gonna go ahead and start, and we'll start by letting you know how this happened. This started just like any other, I think it was a Friday, Saturday night. We were going to a party, but me and my 2 friends didn't have a way to get there. So I asked another person that I know if they can give us a ride. And they're like, yeah, sure, we'll come pick you guys up. So I let my friends know, I'm like, hey, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna meet up at my house and then we'll head out from there. My mom always used to tell me, because I am Mexican, she used to tell me, quieres andar, busca la manera. Meaning, you wanna be out and about, you better figure out your own way. So I found my own way. The guy who was gonna be picking us up was like, yeah, you know, we're on our way. We'll be there in about 10. So they pick us up, and when they picked us up, they went ahead and told us, they're like, hey, we're gonna pick up 2 more people. I'm like, what? How are we gonna pick up more people? There was already 4 of us in like a little Honda Civic in the back seat, okay? So there was a total of 6 people in this little Honda Civic. It fits 5. Where are we gonna put these other 2 people? I have no idea, but it is in my car. I was just going for the ride. So we went and we picked up these 2 people, these 2 girls, and one of them looked super, super young. The other one didn't look that young, but I was like, dang, is this your sister? Like, your little sister? What is she doing here? But, you know, I was like, whatever, let me mind my business. Okay, so we picked those 2 girls up. We drive over to the party, okay? We get there to the party, and let me tell you, this party was popping. This party was a lot of fun. I was in there, you know that the video of the little boy dancing in the club? That was me. I was in there having the time of my life, having so much fun. Everybody was dancing, having a grand time. And then out of nowhere, we start hearing the cops are coming. And everybody's like panicking, everybody's running. Some people, they're trying to run and like jump walls and stuff. And we're just like, well, people are like screaming, oh, shut up, shut up, shut up. Don't say anything. You know, they wanted to do it like the Project X scene. And like when the cops show up and everybody's like quiet and they're ducking in the back, nobody's making any noises. That's what we tried to do. So for a while, that's what was happening. The cops were at the door talking to, I don't know who, if it was a parent or what was happening. This one guy who was going to like the little side gate and was like checking back and forth to see like what was happening. He was letting like pretty much everybody know at the party, like, oh, you know, like they're still talking, and he's going back and forth, right? And then out of nowhere, he walks to the gate, and then he's running full force, coming back. They're coming in! The cops are coming in! Side note, every time that me and my friends would go to a party, we always set like an escape plan in case the cops showed up. Because, you know, these house parties, they used to get crazy. Like, really, really crazy. So then I grabbed you remember that little girl that I told you from the beginning? The little girl who looked like a little girl? For some reason, something told me to grab her. I grabbed her and I'm like, come on, we have to go. And I threw her over this wall, okay, into somebody's backyard. Yes, I know, messed up. And I still feel bad about it. I still think about it, I'm like, dang, we were in people's backyards. This is terrible. But, you know, this is hooligan stuff. And there's a whole bunch of people, you know, like jumping over walls and stuff. When I threw her, I couldn't get over. I couldn't get over this wall. I was struggling, like I couldn't get over. There's this guy, whoever he is, God bless his soul, he was helping people get over the wall. He saw me struggling and he was throwing other people over. So then he looked at me and he was like, go, ready? And he threw me over. And it's so crazy because so many of us like jumped at the same time, but you know, like I landed and I didn't see anybody else except for the little girl. And she was right there. She was waiting for me. And I got over and I'm like pacing back and forth. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, oh my God, where are we going? Like, what's gonna happen? And I'm like, oh, we have to get out of here. We have to get out of this person's house. Like, we're in the backyard. And so I saw another side, like they had like a little gate, you know, to get out to the backyard as well. And we went over there. I flipped over the trash can to help us get over. And then we got over and then we got out. And now we're in a street that was just long, okay? Because where the party was like a little U street. So it was a U street, the houses, we jumped over, now we're in the longer street. And so we both got over, we're standing here in the middle of the street and we're like, I'm pacing back and forth because I'm like, I lost my friends. I did not have a phone at this time and she didn't have a phone at the time either. So I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna call them. And so then I'm sitting here like pacing back and forth, and then we saw these two other people who also lost their friends. So we're all kind of like in this little group collectively looking for our friends together. And so we're all looking for our friends. I'm just walking down the street hoping that I find them, and then we end up getting back with them, okay? Mind you, the cops are like driving around everywhere trying to find people who jumped walls and left. So then, you know, we went ahead and I found my friends, and I tell my friend, I'm like, hey, I need your phone to call my mom. And she's like, dude, my phone died. I'm like, okay. This is not good. This is not good. This is terrible right now. How is this happening? So then I tell my other friend, I'm like, hey, I need your phone. And he's like, dude, I lost it. I'm like, can this night get any worse? And so then we ended up finding a whole bunch of other people who were like trying to get out of there, but nobody really knew where we were. I had no idea what streets we were on, and I know Vegas, but I had no idea where we were. Like I didn't pay attention when I was in the car, which is one thing I don't recommend. If you ever get into a car with anybody, always know where you are. Always look at your cross streets, because if something happens, you'll know at least where to go. Or if you call somebody, be like, hey, these are the two streets where I'm at. I didn't do that. So running down some street, and then we ran into another group of people who were like, oh, I know where we are. We're near Sunrise High School. And I'm like, okay, so take us to Sunrise High School, because from there we can find somebody can, you know, come get us. Nobody had phones. Where everybody's phones were, I had no idea. But nobody had phones. I asked pretty much everybody that was there, and either they lost it died, they didn't have one, whatever. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I freaking guess. So then we're sitting here walking through like some little streets, some houses and stuff, when she's like, oh, we'll go through here. She said Sunrise High School is right here. We just have to go through this desert. I'm like, I'm not going through no dang desert. But what did I do? I went through the desert. Turns out that desert was an area we were not supposed to be in because we started hearing sirens and helicopters and a whole bunch of things. So now we're running full speed through this desert trying to get back to where we were. And it was a desert, okay? And so because there was like a helicopter flying around and stuff with the light, we had to like duck down and like crawl and stuff. It was the worst time of my life. Again, I had this little girl with me. This younger girl, I had her with me the entire time. And I'm like running with her, crawling, and I was holding her hand the entire time. I'm like, stay here with me. Do not go anywhere else. You move when I move, you stay when I stay. You just come with me. And doesn't it suck when you're folding clothes and you put too much, I guess you stack too much on top and they just fall over. Now I have to fold this again. So then we get back to the houses, like the little streets and stuff. We're back there, right? And so we're sitting here, like all of us are pacing back and forth, like trying to figure out where we're gonna go, how we're gonna call our parents, how we're gonna get a ride home, how we're gonna do anything, right? And so then we end up going into this one street. I'm gonna give you guys a little visual.
Okay, this is where the party was, okay? This little circle here. Okay, so this is where we were after the desert of running around. And then this is the little street that we went to go hang out to kind of figure out what the heck is going to happen. So this is where we're hanging out, and the blue is all the cops, okay? So there's cop there, cop there, cop there, cop there, cop here, cop over here, cop over there. There's cops everywhere, okay? The entire way there was cops. So one cop decided to go ahead and check the other street. So he went into this street, he passed it and was like, oh my god, there's kids. Let me turn back and go down the street. So he goes down that street. So in this little street where we were, there was a wall, a 12-foot wall that was just like a little corner thing. And that's where we jumped into.
So now got into this other street, right? And then so we're finally like, we're just walking, and we basically said, okay, we're gonna just walk till we get to a main street and we can see exactly where we are, and then we can go into a store, call our parents. So that was the plan, right? So now we're walking, we got down like 4 or 5 houses, and then the cops come. We see the cops immediately turn into that street, and like they passed by, basically they went like this, they passed, and then they turned on their lights and they reversed. Soon as we saw those lights, here we go, running again. Got separated from everybody. I grabbed that little girl. I went through one house, through the little back gate, went into their backyard, jumped from that house to another house to another house. I jumped over like 4 or 5 walls. I was in like 4 or 5 backyards at this point. And when I jumped over the first one, I'm telling the little girl, I'm like, come on, come on, come on. She's like, no, I can't jump over. Just leave me. So here I go. Jumped back over, threw her over again, ran until we were back to that massive wall, okay, where we were at. And I'm sitting here, like, me and her are in here, and I'm like, you know what, like, this is it. We're going to jail, or we are dying right here. Like, this is it. That's it. We're not making it anywhere. I'm tired. I'm done. I don't want to do this. I'm going to turn myself in. I start crying at this point because I'm like, I don't know what to do anymore. I lost all of my friends. I lost everybody who I was with. I'm like, okay, like, I don't know what I'm doing. My friend ends up saying, Lita. She's like, Lita, where are you? And I'm like, where are you? And I'm like crying. I'm like, dude, I was like, we're back in this big wall, this and that. And she's like, oh, come back on over, come back to the street where we were. There's people that are outside and they're helping. And I'm like, I don't know how you want me to get through this huge wall, like how I'm supposed to jump over. She let the people know, and they came back and there was a ladder. They put a ladder over this wall. And so me and the little girl, we climb out, we get the ladder, whatever. This lovely couple, this little lovely old couple, they were outside handing out waters, giving food, and letting people use their phones and stuff to call their parents to come pick them up. The wife came to me, she's like, are you okay? How are you? I'm like, I'm tired and I really want to go home. I need to call my mother. And so she's like, yeah, of course, here's our phone. Do you need some water? And I'm like, yes, please. Can I please have some water? What time is it, by the way? She's like, it's 3 in the morning. I'm like, what? It's what time? We left my house. We got picked up from my house at 10 o'clock. or even probably earlier. I don't know. So I'm like, oh my god, my mom's not gonna be awake. Like she's not gonna come pick us up. It's 3 a.m. So then I call my mom and she was up. That little lady was up, and I'm on the phone with her and she's like, I felt like something was wrong. She's like, usually, you know, you call me when you're leaving these things to let me know what's happening. She's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no. We've been running from the cops. We've been chased all night. I'm like, I would like to please go home. Can you please come pick us up? She's like, yeah, well, where are you guys? And I asked the couple, and I'm like, hey, what streets are we on? They're like, you're on Lake Mead in Hollywood. And if you're from Vegas, you know Lake Mead in Hollywood is far. That time, I lived next to Bonanza High School. I was like, huh? And so I'm like scared to tell my mom. I'm like, oh, we're on Lake Mead in Hollywood. And she's like, you're on where? I'm like, Lake Mead in Hollywood. And she's like, okay, well, you need to ask your godfather if he'll go pick you up, because I'm not picking you up over there. I'm like, oh, I don't have his number. I don't know his number by heart, and I don't have a phone. And she's like, oh, he's right here next to me. So then I'm talking to my godfather, and I'm like, Nino, can you please come pick me up? And he's like, yeah, of course, mommy, don't worry. Like, I'll go pick you up. I'll be right there. So then I'm like, okay, cool. And so I asked the couple if they can drop us off on Lake Mead, like at the corner of Lake Mead in Hollywood. And they're like, yeah, sure, of course. So they dropped me and my friends and the little girl. The little girl was with me the entire time. I did not leave her. I did not abandon her. She was with me at all times. So they dropped us off at the gas station, and we're all just waiting for my mom to come pick us up. My mom, when she got there, was laughing so hard. I was like looking at her like, what the heck is she laughing at? She like points at, you know, the reflection, the glass and stuff, to like turn around and look at you guys yourselves. We turned around and we looked homeless. We were dirty from running in the desert. My tank top was all ripped. My shorts had holes everywhere. My Jordans were completely messed up. Like everybody, all of our clothes, they had like sticks and all kinds of stuff. They were holes, dirt, rocks all over us. Like we looked terrible. My knees were busted. It was the funniest thing when I saw, like, I was like, oh my god, we look crazy. So that's why my mom was laughing at us. And so we all got in the car, and the whole way home we did not say a word. We were quiet. Didn't say anything. We were tired. My friend, she fell asleep. The little girl, she fell asleep. I was like, oh my god, I'm never going anywhere ever again. My mom, when we got home, she's like, who is this little girl? Like, you guys, it was 3 of you when you left. Why is there 4? And I was like, I don't know, Mom. I was like, we picked her up like on the way to the party with the guy who took us. I was like, and she looked really young to me, and I found out that she was actually 12 years old. So I kept her with me the whole time, and my mom was like, oh, okay, well, that's good. She's like, is she gonna stay here? Do you want to go take her home? And I was like, no, I'm gonna just let her stay the night here, and then I'll just take her home in the morning. And she's like, all right, cool. We went home, we all showered, we changed our clothes and everything, and we all laid down, and like we were like it was like quiet, and we're like, what the hell happened? Like, what happened? We ran from the cops for 3 hours. We jumped over walls. We went through deserts. We got chased time and time and time from the police. It was like never ending. I'm like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. We would go to the parties, and like cops would show up. I always got away. We always got away. But this time I was like, okay, we're not gonna get away. There's no way. They're not letting us get away. They straight up said, we're taking everybody. I don't care. That was one of the nights where I almost did get caught by the cops, and there was one time that I did get caught by the cops and I almost went to jail. But that could be next time's story. Well, I can tell you guys all about that. Go ahead and leave a comment down below if you guys want to hear about the time that I did almost get arrested from going to a house party. All in all, one of the craziest nights. You guys thought I was playing when I told you that my life was crazy. It ain't. That's one of the many stories of crazy things that has happened. If you would like to keep watching and do another task with me while we go ahead and talk about some crazy stuff that's happened, make sure to subscribe, like, and don't forget to hit the little bell button so that you never miss another video. And leave a comment down below what kind of story you want to hear next. If you want to hear either the time that I did almost get arrested by the cops for being at a house party, or the time that me and my husband almost got arrested on our wedding night. Almost got arrested on our wedding night. Drop a comment down below and let me know what you guys think. That being said, bye hoes.